It's another edition of Checking In with Hein and Johnny, where the hosts bring in mystery topics that neither host knows anything about until the mics go hot and on the air. We are the show that keeps the host from talking about the weather and World War II 24 hours a day. Hey, Heine, man, what's on?
What's happening, Johnny?
It has love in the air. It is the Valentine's Week show. Do you feel the love? Do you feel amorous today, Henry?
Can we talk about that on the air?
We can, because we can put an explicit content icon on it and make people like log in and verify their age. It's like buying Dayquil. Have you tried to buy Dayquil lately? It's a big deal.
I stick strictly to the NyQuil. I like a nice green tongue all the time.
They don't want us to go all Breaking Bad and boil down the NyQuil and turn it into beautiful, gorgeous, blue glowing meth, I guess.
I like to take a little and blend it with my little hard heart-shaped candies. I found that the dye that they use to say things like cutie pie on it, really packs an awesome buzz.
The love you, and do you remember it taking it so seriously, those little messages? Or were you not that type when you were giving out Valentines to the favorite love of your life in third grade? Did you take those candies seriously when you doled them out?
No. I was a very mature third grader and looked at life, seriously.
You were thinking all along that you were going to be the master of your domain and a CEO among CEOs. So you had no time for the ladies.
I was always shopping for the little hearts that said, "Would you like to join me in the back of the Girls Gone Wild bus?"
Do they? I hope they have those. It seems like something that would be at the mall in the Hot Topic store. That was my oldest son's favorite store. I mean, everything was Hot Topic for that phase of his life. I'm probably still in that phase. All the goofy nerd stuff I get.
Yeah. So, no, Valentine's Day. We did a lot of our favorite thing to do was to go out after dark and deliver Valentines to our friends, and then have the one with the fishing line on it. And then as they came to the door and bent down, we'd pull it away.
Hilarious.
You just can't get the stuff. And then we'd take it to people that, like our Australian neighbors that didn't really know what Valentine's Day was. So they would just get very upset and try to chase us down, and we'd be hiding in the bushes, turn into an all-night cat and mouse game between us and some Australian mother. "I know you're in there.
Get out to you.
Your mother will worry."
Something a little bit akin to the toilet papering. Now, toilet paper is so expensive, no kid would ever be allowed to waste toilet paper. But when you and I were younger, it was huge.
Au contraire, mon frere. There are still many trees around my neighborhood that end up with the big streamers in them. And, I'd like to say some of the kids in our neighborhood do quite professional work. It's like, how you guys get the rolls of toilet paper up into that 50-foot tree? Are you immediately pinned as the quarterback of the team? Or do you have a launcher?
The TP launcher, like the t-shirt launchers at the basketball games.
That would
Always a
work.
crowd pleaser. Absolutely. Well, I mean, a bag, the large, like Costco, Sam's Club size of toilet paper, it's like really expensive. So those moms and dads, they can't, they cannot be on board with wasting $70 worth of toilet paper for hijinks.
Well, and that is the silver lining in the bird flu epidemic.
One thing, you're the heart of the show, Henry. You always think of the good things that happen. The bird
That's
flu epidemic.
Costco doesn't even have eggs.
No, not allowed to have them. You can't. They kill people.
$6.99 a dozen.
Yeah.
Whatever they are this week. It's been a while since I've shopped.
Well, you are the heartbeat of the pod. Because I am a thriving narcissist, I have no actual conscience, and everybody knows that. So you do have to keep us on track with all things morality leveled. So thank you for that.
So Johnny, who back in the day did you want to give your I love you candy to?
Jennifer
Yeah.
Thompson, third grade, constant. She really, really hated me. Her family hated me because I was too little and too scared to call. So I would just call and hang up. So the family got to know my hang-ups and did not like me at all because I was a little twerp that was an idiot, constantly calling their house.
Did they issue a restraining order?
No, no. Like there was one, like the end of school in elementary, everybody was going to go roller skating. And in the roller skating event, everybody was going to like invite somebody. During recess, she flatly said, I would never go roller skating in my life. And I would never, ever go roller skating where you were. So it was obvious she despised the Johnny just like most folks have throughout the history of my life. But they moved long after that, so I never saw Jennifer Thompson again, and her family was probably super happy that they moved because they got rid of the leech that they couldn't shake off the one bloodsucker that was wasting all of their phone calls. It was back when you didn't have like star 69, you had a landline, and somebody had to physically answer the phone to hear who it was. So some
Rotary
idiot,
dial.
yeah, rotary dial. We
Those were the
had.
days, my friend.
Did you have the olive green one, or did you have the black or white one? Can you remember?
I guess I'd say most of mine were white
Yeah.
with maybe a long cord so you could take it into the TV room.
Yes. To drag it all the way into the bathroom if you wanted a private conversation. With our family, there were no private conversations because the doors were not quality. So
Oh, and
you
there were
could,
like 10 of you.
yeah, there was a bunch. When I was young, there were a bunch of kids. Um, and I was the youngest, so it wasn't too long before they kind of aged out and took off and had wonderful lives, not in the gigantic jungle bowl of our family. But yeah, I was the youngest, so I had the easy time. There was absolutely no money spent on anything when I was little, and then as I got older, because there were no kids, we got regular drinks and regular cereal, and we weren't in the poorhouse anymore. Go figure.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Were you, speaking of that serious Henry in third grade, were you always going to be a captain of industry, or were there other thoughts of being a doctor or a lawyer?
Well, there were a lot of thoughts of becoming General Patton.
Oh, so it was all all World War II inspired.
Then there was the dream of becoming Jacques Cousteau, which I
Oh,
still like.
heck yeah. So what's your favorite dive spot? Where was your favorite scuba diving spot throughout the world?
Um, hmm, there are so many. I did go to Tapu Point in Bora Bora,
Nice. What
and we
what
did a shark dive.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. And what do you remember most? What makes it so exciting in your memories?
Just they throw the bait in the water,
Oh, a
and the
bait
sharks
ball.
are there. Oh, down there, just throw out about start throwing the dead fish in. And I was out there first, and within, I think the little sharks out there are they're little black tips, so
Hmm.
they're not too threatening. But there's like 15 of them there in seconds because I think they're out there for all the tourists to see.
Yeah.
And so they are just swirling sharks around you, and which I thought was pretty cool. And you're with a bunch of French guys. And then we went down, and there were some bigger like lemon sharks and things, and the sharks were coming up. The dive master guy was holding a bag of fish guts. The sharks were coming up and hitting on that. and and I was actually, by this point, I think I stayed down for 45 minutes, which was
Nice.
a record for me. The French guys could stay down there. They're just like barely breathing.
Yeah. Yeah. Sipping.
And the first couple of dives that we did on that trip were I was just sucking the tanks down. Just
Yeah. You're so nervous. That's awesome.
how about you? How about you? You're a Cousteau enthusiast. What's your favorite dive
Totally.
spot?
Yeah. Um, completely. Probably one of my favorite ones was when Kiefer went with us. Night dive, so adrenaline's super high. Nice full moon. We get out to kind of the reef, and I descend first, and I'm just kind of waiting for Kiefer, and then Kiefer slowly descends. It was in the Pacific Ocean, and he plops right on top of a shark, and the shark bolts out, and we just watch him swim away. And I'm like, that was a shark. And I don't know. I never asked if Kiefer knew that he sat on it or, got like that close to it. But um, for sure, that was the last night dive Kiefer ever did, because that was unnerving. Night dives they're delightfully, man, jumping into the abyss. Woo, man.
Another one was we did the night, or I did the night manta ray dive
Oh,
off of Kona, and they
man.
go down and they set up a bunch of lights, and you sit around it like a campfire. You just go down about 30 feet, put a rock on your lap, and manta rays come in and buzz your head and flip in front of you. And that is one of
Awesome.
Skin Diving Magazine's, like it's number one, or it's number two or number three. I've done two of the Skin Diver Magazine in their top 50. I've done number two and number three.
Nice.
which which I didn't plan on. It just happened that way.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. Those because they're really awesome. Those are super awesome. One strange one that wasn't. You don't have to go very deep. Um, Manatees in Tarpon Springs in Florida, they are just humongous. They're called sea cows. They're just massive. It's like literally a 2-ton animal. I don't know how big they get. They're so big. But once you dive in, they are super curious. So they come right up. Um, they want a belly rub, and it's really, really quite overwhelming because it's this massive animal that literally wants some attention and wants some fun. And so you can rub them down, and then they spin around, and then once the mommies are comfortable, then the babies come up, and they are adorable. It's just like a stuffed animal, like a living stuffed animal. These babies, adorable. So the
So
Save the
so
Manatee folks don't like divers doing it, but man alive, it's fantastic.
during the last election cycle, were you the guy who took down a Scotch Brite pad and scrubbed Trump into the back of one of them?
That's that sounds that sounds like my peeps. But no, that
I
sounds
remember
like
that was a big stir. How could someone scrape the algae off of the manatee and write Trump on it? The
there's
horror.
no question it's easy. Those dudes, those are slow moving folks. They're the opposite of lemon sharks. They're not fast moving, but they are adorable, really. And they get beat up. Oh my goodness, almost all of them have just been slaughtered by the rotor, every part of the boat has hit these poor animals. So, that the babies are nice and slick and clean, and then these poor moms have been chopped up so that it's kind of they're trying to keep them from getting
Oh
killed all the
yeah,
time.
they're very protected.
Yeah, no wake kind of zones, and they are all over because those nice canals all through that area of Florida are nice and warm, and then of course the oceans get cold, so they just flock in. So there's just tons of them packed in there, staying warm and eating all the greenery. Did Chris ever get certified? Did she ever go on the dives with you?
She did. She was a real sport,
That
and
is being a sport.
eventually she she was certified. She did a lot of the dives. She did. I mean, she did some kind of intense stuff. Uh, there were somewhere in Tahiti where you're just out in the surf
Mm.
and you're just going backwards. The French guys do that. You're out in the little rubber boats, the Zodiacs, just like on Jacques Cousteau. And they're doing the thing that in scuba diving class, they say, never do this, which is just falling backwards off the boat. And, and we're out in these, 10-foot high breakers that are coming in and it's just over the
Wow.
side. And there were sharks down there. And she eventually, when I started handling the speckled stonefish, she finally said, "This is like underwater bird watching, and I'm not really into it." So I quit. So she's retired, but
Wisely.
yeah, we did I think it's a funny story. We went to Contoy in off Cancun, which they just take herds of tourists out to, and you snorkel with the whale sharks,
Oh, that'd
and
be awesome.
it's cool. My kids thought it was cool, but they make you, you have to wear a life jacket, and they just go out with armies of uh, tourists in life jackets and throw you over the side. And these whale sharks pass by you. They're swimming, I don't know, 7 miles an hour,
Yeah.
which is a lot faster than you can go.
Yeah.
It's just like a giant pool of catfish. So after, you always want to stay away from the salchiches, buffets that morning before you go out on that run, because you get tossed around in these little boats and pretty soon you're chumming in the water. And so after I got that, they kind of had everybody out and everybody's in the boat and they say, well, does anybody want to go back in? You can go back in and kind of paddle around. Don't touch the whale sharks. It's like touching the manatees.
Yeah.
Don't scrub it, slogans into them, nothing. So I said, well, I can either stay here on the boat and throw up, or I'll get in the water and throw up. And so I get back in the water and I really need to pee.
Yeah, it's
So
time.
I swim out and I'm looking at all the plankton into the abyss, and I'm struggling with having this all happen. The water's cold. So I'm sitting out there concentrating, focusing, and suddenly from the boat it's like, Henry, watch out, look out, look out. And so I look up at the boat, I go put my head back in the water, and that's more, Henry, look out. And so I look up and I turn around, and coming straight at me is a whale shark.
Oh.
And so I turn to confront the whale shark, because surely these fish use radar, sonar, something.
See
They're
you.
not just big, giant, blind idiots swimming through the water with their mouth open. So I turn around and say, oh, yeah, I'm going to have a close encounter here. Surely it will, right as it approaches, it will dive down and go under me.
Because of the sonar.
The sonar, right. So suddenly it's getting closer and closer. And so to make clear to everybody watching from PETA, I put my hands in the air up. I am not
No touchy.
the whale shark. But the whale shark, of course, clobbers me right head on. And then starts to, I don't know, it really went down. I'm on top of the whale shark. The whale shark goes under me, slaps me a couple of times with its tail, and then swims off. So that was the highlight of that day.
That is a huge highlight. No wonder you had a fun time.
Oh yeah, so many diving stories. Don't push play on that one.
That's a great one. I love that one. Yeah,
it was fun. It was pretty cool, and they were. It's amazing. It's right at the confluence of the Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean.
Nice. Oh, we lost your mic, Henry. There we go. That sounds better. It kind of phased out.
Don't touch your mic.
I guess don't touch your mic. Now it's working.
Don't touch your mic.
Confluence. Tell me more. Confluence of.
Just the confluence of where the Caribbean Sea and the Gulf of Mexico meet.
And that's why they kind of
stirs up a bunch of feed, and the whale sharks just hang out there.
Man, I love it. That's a great dive.
Great dive.
Allison did get certified, but they certified us in a pool, and then took us out to a dock where we had to jump in from 40 feet. So once she jumped from 40 feet into the water, she did that dive and was out. She saw some crabs, and she's like, I'm never doing that thing again. It gave me a heart attack. So she didn't join us. Both my sons did, but she was out. She did 1 or 2 dives, and that was it. But yeah, it's a great activity. It's super fun for adventure seekers.
Another Mexico dive I did, I went out, because once Chris had retired from scuba diving, and I would say that she earned the merit badge. But I went out and I was on a boat with a guy from England, a guy from Australia, and a guy from South Africa, all whose wives had retired from scuba diving.
Yeah.
So you're out with all these dudes, and it was a comedy routine, because these guys are, oh yeah, once outside of Durban, I was chased onto the back of the boat by a great white shark. It's like the waves were 10 feet high, and as the wave came up, I just leapt onto the back of the boat right as a great white shark was about to rip my foot off. And then the other guys, well, once outside of Adelaide, I had counted 10 great white sharks.
Oh, great.
Gee, I want to record this.
Yeah. That's the perfect encounter of the idiots one-upping each other on the great white shark. But in Australia, it'd be pretty common, let's be honest. There's a ton of sharks there.
There are a ton of sharks.
Yeah. Sharks in, I guess, South Africa, San Francisco, and down there in Australia, there's just a ton of them. So,
You know how when you're scuba diving, how you can always tell you're with an Australian?
no.
They have Australia tattooed across their back. Australia.
We did. We dove with an Australian too in California, and it's true. They talk about it a lot. It's like, how do you know when somebody's vegan? They tell you.
There are so many stereotypes. I mean, these people from other countries think they're so high and mighty. That's the other one. It's like, how do you tell somebody's from South Africa? They're blonde with dreadlocks.
Oh, it's a look. I'm gonna say it's a look, but probably only nice right there in Cape Town. So yeah, the rest of the regions of the world do not. Speaking of unusual regions, the folks in Somalia are loving Henry. I don't know how we picked up that particular region near Yemen. Love it. So
the Horn of Africa.
yeah, I am so proud to say that they can't get enough of Henry. The Mogadishians love the Heine man.
Do we still have troops there?
I don't.
I think we pretty much pulled out, but I know a lot of guys who spent time over there
in Somalia.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's the attraction. We've got the patriots that are living there after they've left.
Either that or it's Colonel Azid and his men.
Yeah, loving all your wacky repartee about dive action with the Australians. We want to give some good advice to all of our dudes that listen. We're predominantly a dude podcast, although there's about 46% are females. So it's not, I mean, we've got the ladies love Heine.
46%. So that's like of the 5 listeners, 2 are women?
2 are women, which is my wife and your wife. And that's how stats work. Math is hard, but they count. Those 2 count. Oh, and then the Somalian pirates. Yeah, they tip the scale. So we're giving some great advice for what to do with your favorite lady or favorite man. Nothing wrong with that. And so I got some tips. Or for the favorite things that the spouses love for Valentine's. Homemade love letters. That's a number 1 item. Have you ever done a homemade love letter for Chris?
I've always struggled with paper production. The rolling it out, the finding the pulp, mashing it up in the bathtub, applying the right chemicals, and getting all that.
I think, now I may be off, but papyrus was not what they were leaning towards. I think they were going to have you get it from a paper manufacturer as a sheet.
Oh. And then write something?
But don't use squid ink. Don't squeeze a squid to write and dab a quill. They were thinking just a regular pen on normal paper. Have you ever done that?
I've had to have probably during the dating phase. I had that. You have to trick the girls into thinking he's going to be writing these love letters all of the time.
Speaking of that, tricking our more important mates, was there a first date that was the most memorable? You thought, oh, this is it. She's the one. Can you remember any of those?
Well, Johnny, you were there for most of them. You could probably recite. You
I know
remember?
a third party view of those. Yeah. Yeah,
Was
we
it
were
the?
in
Yeah.
the car. We were in the car honking and turning on and off the lights. We were terrible wingmen. In case you're wondering, Johnny was a terrible wingman.
No, you actually changed my life because before, up until I started hanging out with you guys, yeah, I would pretty much call girls. Repeat, there's so many stories here on, my book of pickup, how to pick up women. But
Nice.
I'd pretty much call and say, Trish, would you like to go to the dance?
Napoleon Dynamite.
And then I met you guys, and you'd say, "Hun, you're never going to get anywhere with it. That's your come on. You got to like draw a picture of them and shade in their little lip just right, and send and give that to them." And so then we started doing those little pranks and things, and I became the king. I went from
This
zero to hero.
Henry Suave became
Mm.
he became the Laurence Olivier of dating. You were the lead after that. Yes, you did very well. We just helped with the creativity quotient at the beginning. That's all we had to do. Start you on the path.
That is
Um,
cool.
well, I'm glad that I was a part of that. That's a great memory. I like that.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's no. I
Mine,
knew. I knew that my wife would. I knew that she was a catch. I think pretty much when I met her, I would say, um, I up and I'd always been. Well, let's not talk about this. Could be, this could really get me into some trouble at home.
well, then
But
don't talk about it.
she had a great combination of great looks and a very fun personality. And
You're here.
yeah, and let me tell you, folks at home, go for the fun ones. The cheerleaders are a lot more fun than the goth girls.
100%. For those of us who have bumped into the goth, you get some weird black stuff on you when you bump into those folks. Well,
writing hateful poetry or whatever goths do. I don't know if I hung with them. It's like, imagine that Valentine's letter.
that's an angry bunch. So that's nice because it was early on. You definitely had eyes for the Chris and knew it early on. That was and that's fantastic. For me, we all knew my wife from way back. I mean, we knew her from years before. We were just all friends. So for
Sounds
me,
great.
yeah, it
Yeah,
was just
sounds great.
a big pickup moment at an airport, picking her up from the airport, and I thought, this is not the Allison from Driver's Ed. This is not that Allison anymore. So that was the moment that I knew. I thought this is completely different. So that was my first moment. So dudes out there, write a note about it. They love a handwritten heart with a note. That's the hugest idea. Of course, do a photo book, a lovely photo book of some memories.
What's number two? What's a photo book?
A photo book.
Photo book? I'm
You and
gonna.
I do not care about photo books, but I will tell you, Henry, if I had advice about doing pranks to ask women out, I can tell you this is a good idea. Do a photo book with the 8,000 photo book companies and put in memorable photos from your phone and have that printed out. They deliver them in 5-6 days, and man, you will be the king of the castle. They love romantic gestures that are customized. So, yeah, if you've never done that, do it. I've done the heart shape, cut it out, it works perfectly. They'll save it unless they hate you, I guess, unless you're trying to save your godforsaken marriage. They will save that. They'll save it. The photo books. Oh man, they'll cherish that thing. Yeah. So that's
So
number 3 is making them dinner. You do the dinner. You cook it. Now, are you a big chef at home, Heine?
probably used to be. Now it's like, hey, how's everybody feeling about mac and cheese?
Sure. That's typical. So do
So
a nice, make a nice dinner for them.
how about number is number 4 is number 4? Let me guess. I'm going to channel this one. Free oil change.
Yes. The gals love when you put together an oily job that they don't have to do. Oh, romance screams Valentines. No,
What? Oh no, that's number 7. It's out of the top 5.
it's out of the top 5. Next would be, of course, plan the romantic getaway. Plan the romantic getaway to a car race, and then tell them about it. They'll love that. Yeah. No, it's usually a romantic area.
Like
Usually
Vegas.
all the dude areas. Well, we're going to the races down in Monte Carlo. I mean, I guess that would work because that would be fun.
Yeah.
Morocco, Monte Carlo.
Yeah, that's like La Junta, Colorado is a no.
That's a no.
Yeah.
That's no. Anywhere where you are stuck at the races for the full 7 days.
Willow Springs, California.
Not what we're talking about here. So these are our best ideas to keep that magic rocking with your spouse.
Romantic getaway.
Romantic getaway, plan romantic getaway, and then, of course, present it with a homemade letter or Valentines and let them know this is what we're planning, and I've planned it all myself.
Dinner.
Yeah, you cook and cook them dinner. Don't just
cook them dinner.
Yeah, number 11 would be, make a reservation at the romantic. Do you and Chris have a specific romantic restaurant? We kind of don't have that. Do you guys have that?
Dee's Family Restaurant is fabulous.
Real plates. I mean,
real place. 7th East, 21st South.
It's not a drive-through. It is an actual family restaurant.
The pancake special. Mm-hmm.
So that tittles the winky, you think as far as romance.
Open all.
Not a bad choice.
It's great because it's still open while I'm trying to put together my photo book.
And no reservations needed while you do your photo book.
Okay, so that's number 7. Were we at number 5? There's got to be a number 5.
We have given our top favorite 5, and that's it. Breakfast in bed finishes it up. Yeah, breakfast
in bed on Valentine's?
Well, because it's a romantic gesture that you never do because you are a pig. So, yes, preparing that and not having, now that the kids are older, they don't destroy the meal. The breakfast in bed thing was quite heinous because the kids just made it a disgusting affair, and they had to clean it up.
Now I don't want to dive too deep on the list, but what number is expose yourself?
That's a different list. That list,
it's other Valentines.
That's a different list. I'm going to let you think with all of our podcast 4 listeners what list that would be on. And it's not the Valentine's list.
I must be watching the wrong Valentine's movies.
Well, Well, we wanted to bring you the good stuff, the solid good stuff, because it is this week, so you have to be, definitely can get chocolates, but that's not top five.
The
Oh,
brutal.
yeah, that's
Mm.
hitting a movie. Those things are delightful, but that's not top five. We want the podcast listeners to be top five, dude. Top five.
Do for sure.
And in the comments, we're going to find out the strong opinions of the Valentine ideas. They will tell us if we are off the mark, which we're happy to be off the mark. We're off the mark all the time. One romantic movie that we did want to highlight. Tell the pod listeners what Chris's Ladies' Night movie is. Do you remember what it was? She said if there's a girls' night out, the video that would be the most appropriate for her would be
Would be
what?
the answer, Johnny. The answer is Bridesmaids. Bridesmaids.
The
Bridesmaids.
Bridesmaids.
Right. Right. And that's a movie about women, and one of them is getting married, and there's a group of bridesmaids and some of the wacky things that the bridesmaids do, and then it all ends. It really goes off the rails when, I hate to reverse back to what some of our viewers have referred to as our poopy episode.
Poop obsession.
But I remember in Bridesmaids, there's a bunch of poop. They all get diarrhea and soil their bridesmaids' dresses or something as the plot line. I'm sure that's where I dropped out on the Bridesmaid film, because you know how I feel about defecation in film.
You have highlighted that many times, but I can tell you it is the funniest scene, and it's the scene that I like to start with. It is so funny when Melissa McCarthy pushes them all out of the way and says, "Get out of the way, I'm going." And something happens on a sink in the in the bridal store. It is so outrageous. It's a perfect girls' night out movie. Allison's favorite movie that she goes for would be The Magic Mike. She does really like Magic Mike, and the actor is in a movie that's on Apple Plus, Fly Me to the Moon. He is with the Black Widow, and it's about the Apollo 11. If you haven't seen it, it's fantastic. Really funny. It's got those romantic elements, and she really loves the Magic Mike dude, and he's harsh and funny and good in that movie. So those are our two picks.
There you go. I'll have to check that one out, because I've seen Bridesmaids.
Right after Bridesmaids, Fly Me to the Moon.
Surprise ending.
It's a surprise. They're all surprise endings. All of the rom-coms have surprise endings. So, well, it's another beautiful week, and we have done our public service for keeping the magic alive. Anything else we need to tell the folks before we're done for Valentine's week, Heine?
I hate to review the list, but it's Magic Mike, write a
Bridesmaids.
note, cook dinner, make breakfast, expose yourself. And so, keep checking in. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Checking In with Hein and Johnny. You can follow all things Hein and Johnny by subscribing to Checking In with Hein and Johnny anywhere you listen to podcasts. Checking In with Heine and Johnny is sponsored by Conveyors and Equipment. They supply, design, and service all types of conveyors, belting, and material handling equipment since 1972. With 3 locations to serve you, Salt Lake City, Albuquerque, and El Paso. Find them on the web at conveyequip.com. That's ConveyeEquuip.com.